The Terrifier Origins. Along with Pennywise from It, Jojo the Clown from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and the Joker from The Dark Knight, Terrifier's Art the Clown has now entered the list of the scariest clowns in films. But who is this evil clown in face paint, and why does he kill in the first place? Leone's 2013 anthology movie All Hallows Eve and his horror short The Ninth Circle use Art the Clown as a character. In the latter, a nanny discovers a VHS tape that details the murders the demonic circus performer has carried out. In the first movies in the series, Mike Giannelli played the role of Art. However, Art was portrayed by David Howard Thornton in Terrifier and its follow-up. The audience could have thought Art the Clown was simply a regular guy who committed brutal serial killings till the very end of the first Terrifier movie. He had an unusually shaped head, gaunt cheeks, teeth that were falling out, and an unnaturally crooked and sharp-tipped nose. But most of those features could be concealed by cosmetics or by the fact that he was just an odd-looking man. But as the movie draws to a close, it becomes obvious that Art has a more obscure, intriguing history. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
I can't believe what I just heard on the radio.
Punctuality is the thief of time, dear. Terrifier 2016. The 2016 American horror film Terrifier was written and co-produced and directed by Damon Leone. Among the actors that feature in the film are Jenna Cannell, Samantha Scafidi, David Howard Thornton, and Catherine Corcoran. While Thornton portrays the murderous Art the Clown, Cannell, Scafidi, and Corcoran play three young women. This is Art the Clown's second appearance in a feature film following Leone's anthology All Hallows Eve 2013, which incorporated content from prior short films that were both directed by Leone and featured the character. A guy is watching a little TV where a talk show host, Monica Brown, is interviewing a lady who is deformed and the only survivor of a slaughter that had happened the previous Halloween. Brown states that the killer, who goes by the moniker Art the Clown, fled from the morgue, raising the possibility that he is still alive. The deformed lady claimed that she witnessed his death, though. The man violently kicks the TV, breaking the glass, then stuffs a rubbish bag with sharp things. After the interview, Monica speaks negatively about the interviewee over the phone to her boyfriend due to her appearance. The deformed lady who had been listening in on her assaults was killed by Monica as she gouges out her eyes when she hangs up. The deformed lady who had been listening in on her conversation approaches Monica after she hangs up, gouges out her eyes, presumably murdering her, and grins maniacally. On Halloween, Tara and Dawn, two friends, leave a party inebriated and make their way back to Dawn's car when they see an odd man dressed as a clown. They are followed into a local pizzeria by Art the Clown. After a little while, Art is hurriedly removed from the restaurant by the owner for smearing his excrement all over the restroom walls. Tara contacts her sister Vicky to come to fetch the girls up when they notice that one of Dawn's car tires has been punctured. While she's waiting, Tara asks Mike, a pest control technician, whether she may use the toilet inside the abandoned apartment complex he's working in. Once there, Tara meets a delusional lady who thinks the doll she is carrying is her unborn child. After returning to the restaurant, Art murders and dismembers the two employees before robbing Dawn. Soon after entering the apartment complex, Tara runs into Art. He chases her around the enclosed mechanics workshop before slicing her in half with a scalpel. While Art is drugging her, she attempts to warn Mike. Dawn is revealed to be hanging upside down from a ceiling as Tara awakens while being strapped to a chair by Art. He has Tara watch as he uses a hacksaw to split Dawn in half. Tara manages to flee, but Art pulls a revolver and kills her. As soon as the cat lady sees it, she urges Mike to contact the police. Mike dismisses her as crazy, but Art quickly uses a hammer to strike him dead. Art is found by the cat lady holding her doll. She tries to give Art a motherly embrace to beg for the return of her kid. Vicky arrives to take Tara and Dawn home, but Art seduces her into going down there instead. She finds what she initially thinks is injured Tara there, but it's Art who has dismembered the cat lady and is wearing her breasts and scalp. Mike's co-workers shows up in search of him, but is beheaded by Art. After escaping Art, Vicky finds her sister's body and pauses to mourn. Then Art assaults her with a homemade cat of 9 tails, but Mike shows up out of nowhere and takes Art down cold. The two run away and dial 911, but Art shows up there and shoots Mike before they can get away. Vicky hides out in a garage, but Art crashes a pickup vehicle through the door, badly hurting Vicky. Art starts to bite her face as she lies there powerless. Before the police can take Art into custody once they arrive, he uses a firearm to shoot himself in the mouth. The corpses of Art's victims are also transported to a mortuary alongside him. When a coroner opens Art's corpse bag, Art comes to life and kills him by strangling him. After recovering from Art's injuries, Vicky is discharged from the hospital a year later. Vicky is then identified as the damaged lady from the opening scene of the movie, indicating that the whole film's events took place the year before. If you like old-school vicious psycho killer horror films, you must see this. Terrifier only wants to show off its savage, brutal grindhouse heart and is not at all interested in being smart, satirical, or postmodern. Who's Laughing Now? Terrifier 2022. American horror film Terrifier 2 was written and directed by Damon Leone. It is the second full-length movie in the same franchise and a direct sequel to the Terrifier 2016. The main actors are Casey Hartnett, Kaylee Heyman, Sarah Voigt, Elliot Fulham, and Lauren Rivera. Victoria Hayes and Art the Clown are played once more by Samantha Scafidi and David Howard Thornton, respectively. Leone began writing a more character and narrative-driven script after Terrifier's cult popularity. The story's primary protagonists are the brothers Sienna and Jonathan Shaw, who on Halloween night become Art the Clown's prey. Leone began writing a more character and narrative-driven script after Terrifier's cult popularity. After the Miles County massacre, Art the Clown is brought back to life and uses a hammer to kill the coroner who is standing over his dead body. When he goes to laundry to wash his bloody clothing, he comes across a young, pale girl who is sporting the same clown makeup as he is. Before being stabbed in the head with a mop handle by a lone client, Art is seen talking to nothing. Sienna Shaw completes the warrior princess attire her late father, who had died from a brain tumor that had generated strange visions, had designed for her, a year after he started making the attire. One of her brothers, Jonathan, plans to go as Art the Clown. Sienna informs Barbara, their mother, that she is worried about this. That night, Sienna dreams that she meets Art. Following the dream, a fire breaks out on her dresser, destroying the wings she had made for the outfit. A sword that her father had given her is still intact among the ashes. Halloween is the next day. Johnson notices Art conversing with a dead opossum at school. The teachers find the opossum, assuming Johnson took it into the school, and disciplines him. In the meanwhile, Sienna goes to the costume shop to get new wings. There, she runs into Art, who playfully agitates her before she leaves. Art assassinates and dismembers the body of Sienna's friend Allie at her house after murdering the shopkeeper. When her mother learns of this, Art murders both of them and then uses the mother's skull as a prop to hand out candy to the children. Barbara finds out that Jonathan had been suspended and won't let him leave the house for the evening, preventing Sienna from going to the party she had planned with her friends. Jonathan runs out in a rage after calling Barbara a bitch and seemingly destroys the family's car. As Barbara clears the mess, she finds Art shot in the face inside the vehicle. Jonathan arrives home to see Art serving his dead and mutilated mother dinner. Art then knocks Jonathan down. A party guest named Brooke accidentally feeds Sienna Molly, or MDMA. Because the drug interacts with the alcohol and the Xanax she had taken earlier, Sienna experiences a panic attack when she sees the little girl dressed as a clown. Jonathan, whose voice is being duplicated by the little girl, calls Brooke and pretends to be at a deserted carnival. Sienna is being driven home by Brooke and her boyfriend Jeff at the moment. Sienna investigates the neighborhood, including the unsettling Terrifier mansion, as Brooke and Jeff are viciously attacked and killed there. Sienna finds Art and Jonathan as well as Brooke's lifeless body in a filthy restroom. As Sienna repeatedly tries to kill the seemingly unkillable Art, she is mortally stabbed by her father's sword. When Art begins to feed Jonathan and tries to rouse him up, Jonathan is already asleep. During this time, the sword revives Sienna, who then uses it to cut off Art's head. He appears to be dead as the ghostly girl clutches his head and flees. Seeing this, Justin and Sienna hold each other. Later, Victoria, the institutionalized lone survivor from the last movie who was deformed, gives birth to Art's head as a nurse stares in horror. Terrifier 2 reportedly began production in October 2019 and was nearly finished when the planet was quarantined, according to a June 2020 release. The writer and director of Terrifier, Damon Leone, has talked about the potential for Terrifier 2 in a world after the coronavirus and even brought up the idea of distributing the movie as a roadshow. It is the third film starring Art the Clown. The film's strong violence and gruesome themes have caused people to fall out and vomit in the theaters. There were times when even ambulances were needed. In the epilogue, one of the attendees at the Halloween celebration is decked up as movies from the Clerks series. Clerk is another well-liked indie movie. Director Damon Leone said that actor David Howard Thornton, who played Art the Clown, had significant input in the character creation during an interview with Bloody Disgusting's podcast, The Boo Crew. According to Thornton, he and Leone built on crimes they had already considered for the movie, utilizing the COVID-19 outbreak as well as many of the murders together. Terrifier 2 is quite graphic and has incredibly insane killings. The suffering Art inflicts on his numerous victims rivals some of Mortal Kombat's most horrifying fatalities. The makeup effects are top-notch in every way. You won't be let down in that aspect if the killings and cosmetics are what you're going for. Art the Clown is a fantastic character, playing one of the best slasher villains. David Howard Thornton effortlessly transitions from ominous jokes to deadly wrath without speaking a word. Overall, Thornton's performance in Terrifier 2 is mind-blowing, and the movie has a fantastic grindhouse vibe thanks to the vintage style and cinematography. A little bit about the antagonists. Art the Clown, All Hallows Eve 2013, Terrifier 2017, Terrifier 2, and Terrifier 3 all include Art the Clown as its primary adversary. The short film The Night Circle from 2017 also has Art the Clown as a minor antagonist. Terrifier 2 will be made accessible in 2022. He appears and causes mayhem as a demonic killer clown with mime-like characteristics on Halloween evenings. The protagonist first appears in the short film The Night Circle before playing a more significant part in full-length horror movies. Damon Leone, who directed a number of these films, is credited with creating the character. Art the Clown is shown in the movie in black and white. He usually carries a black trash bag with him that contains his collection of handmade weaponry. On top of his blindingly white skin, he painted false black lips, eyelashes, and eyebrows. The white bald cap that covers his head is topped with a little black hat. Terrifier claims that Art has the traditional Caucasian skin tone, a goatee, and shaved eyebrows. He has the appearance of a tall, lean man. Art is a murderous clown who enjoys mercilessly killing almost everyone he comes across. He's harsh, cruel, and psychotic. Mutilation is his favorite technique of death and torture. In addition, Art has certain supernatural talents that he employs to terrorize his captives. He emerges as a completely dedicated serial killer who would do whatever to corner his victims, whom he persistently pursues, terrorizes, and stalks. Then he either slowly, cruelly, and sadistically murders them, or, as has been demonstrated in certain cases, spares their lives so they will have to experience the anguish he has given them forever. Throughout the All Hallows Eve short flicks, Art's look significantly changes. He resembles a human clown in the first short VHS movie. He looks even more horrifying in the second and third short VHS recordings when he has rotten, filthy teeth, an unnaturally shaped skull, severely sunken cheeks, and an extended, crooked nose that comes to an unnaturally sharp point. However, this could be because of the use of prosthetic facial features and makeup. Art wears similar clothing in the film Terrifier. Due to his looks, Art frequently assumes the role of the silent clown. He is never seen speaking out or making any other loud noises. Even when severely hurt, he doesn't genuinely scream in pain. He frequently kills with joy and happiness, and even when his victim is terrified, he never stops smiling. He is also very dramatic when he finds and kills his prey. Unlike previous silent slasher villains, Art expresses himself via gestures and intense facial emotions. It's unclear if Art is deaf or whether he just won't talk. It's important to keep in mind that for some reason Leone enjoys including sequences in his films when Art the Clown smears his crap on bathroom walls. The reason is still a mystery to the movie's followers. The little pale girl in Terrifier 2, a year had gone by since the Miles County Massacre, in which Art the Clown brutally killed 8 people. It continues where the last movie left off, with Art appearing to have risen from the dead and torturing the coroner before regaining his infamous bag of torture implements. The only person destined to battle the wicked clown appears to be a young girl called Sienna, whose father left her a sword and sketches of a woman dressed in Valkyrie clothing. Art arrives in town to kill both of them despite her best efforts to convince her brother Jonathan that he would be far away even if he survived. It is implied that Art the Clown was brought back to life after his first demise by the little pale girl, a shadowy figure who makes an appearance in the first Terrifier film and wears clown or mining clothing. After that, the girl would accompany Art on his murderous rampages and start psychologically torturing Sienna and Jonathan, which led to a fire in Sienna's room and Jonathan's expulsion from school. When Art kidnaps Jonathan, the little pale girl imitates his voice, enticing Sienna to the abandoned carnival where Art would murder her. The girl adopts the persona of Sienna's mother, who had been assassinated earlier in the day by Art the Clown. She does this to divert Sienna's attention so that Art may stab Sienna to death. Before Art went insane and killed himself, Sienna had visions of Art. When Art starts feeding an unconscious Jonathan, Sienna is awoken by the sword and beheads. However, the girl returns and departs with Art's head amid the credits. Victoria, the sole survivor of the first Miles County massacre, unexpectedly becomes pregnant and delivers Art's severed head, with her eye glowing yellow to indicate that the little pale girl has once again brought Art back to life. Marvelous verdict. Killer evil clowns are the most overused kind of antagonists in horror movies. Second only to zombies, one can venture to argue that it has gotten to the point where, like zombies, the clown has become a ridiculous caricature that isn't even really threatening or frightening anymore, when at first glance seems to be yet another unimaginative and formulaic piece of clown horror rapidly reveals itself to be, well, yet another unimaginative and formulaic bit of clown horror, but with a singularly terrifying anti-hero and gobs of sensational old-fashioned gore. Damon Leone, the writer and director, at least acknowledges and comprehends that the most terrifying type of villain is one that is emotionless and quiet. We know absolutely nothing about why Art the Clown butchers. He doesn't say a word and he shows no mercy. Additionally, in addition to being a clown, Art is a mime. Art is the most terrifying clown in movie history thanks to his mutinous grimaces, casualness, and Pierrot-inspired attire. After Terrifier 2, fans of Art the Clown asked for more, and writer-director Damon Leone complied with Terrifier 2, which clocks in at a whopping 140 minutes and is packed with bloody mayhem. Although the movie's protracted running time is problematic and the last act feels too drawn out, it's still a lot of fun for fans of splatter with deliciously dark humor. This time, the adolescent girl Sienna, played by Lauren Lavera, her family and friends who are preparing for Halloween celebrations, are the targets of Art, played by David Howard Thornton. Art is a fantastic horror maniac, both humorous and horrifying, the clown making a genuine mess of his victims. He is known for his signature finger waves, cheeky grin, and lifting of his teeny small hat. The actual special effects greatly surpass anything we've seen previously, and may occasionally be extremely uncomfortable. The history that filmmaker Francis Ford Coppola provides for his killer is where the movie does fall short. It's all a little hazy and weakens the punch of the movie's finale. The deceased artist, father of Sienna, who had drawings of the clown and his victims in his sketchbook, had some connection to the arts. Sienna's father gave her a sword as well before he died, which turns out to have magical properties that the plot doesn't fully explain. A little girl who was once of Art's victims but is now possessed by demons serves as his sidekick. It's unclear and too drawn out when Sienna changes into a fearsome warrior and uses her magic blade to deliver Art some of his own medicine. When you finally think the movie is over, an equally confusing after-credits segment arrives. If you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.